Shalom Eastern Shore. I am Rabbi David Tokajer with Congregation Mayim Chaim, the Eastern Shore's Messianic Synagogue, and I am bringing you your daily dose of living water. In Matthew 4, we read about Yeshua's temptation in the wilderness, just after being immersed in the Jordan River by John and just before officially launching his ministry. In this wilderness experience, Yeshua is tempted by the enemy 3 different times. It is the first of these 3 that we are going to focus on today. It begins in Matthew 4, verse 1. Then Yeshua was led by the Ruach into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If you are Ben Elohim, tell these stones to become bread." But he replied, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Yeshua's response to the enemy is a direct quote from Deuteronomy 8:3, and a powerful remark to boot. The Word of God is so vital to our lives, to our walks, and to our ministries. Yet, far too few believers make the Bible a part of our daily lives. For a lot of believers, the only exposure we may get to the Word of God is in our congregations when we are listening to the sermon. We do not make the Word of God a priority in our lives. We have a problem in the body of Messiah with lethargy of faith. We call ourselves disciples, but few and far between are our habits of discipleship. How many of us wake up and the first thing we do is grab our smartphones and begin clearing notifications? I can tell you, I am definitely personally guilty of this. For many, we get out of bed, we make our way into the kitchen, and we begin to make ourselves some breakfast. Most days, we are pretty intentional on making sure we have 2 or 3 solid meals because we recognize nutrition is of great value. Many work out right out the gate to start their days off because we recognize the value of physical care and the need for some sort of fitness routine for longevity. But how much time and effort do we spend in the Word of God daily? A better question is, do we spend time in the Word of God daily at all? Yeshua says very clearly, man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. And yet, as followers of Yeshua, we do not consume his word faithfully. See, by these standards, spiritually speaking, most of the body of Messiah today is starving. We are literally choking the spirit of life out of our bodies. We are supposed to be disciples who make disciples, but we don't generally walk faithfully in discipleship practices ourselves. And then we often wonder why we aren't hearing God speak in our lives. It is honestly because we just aren't listening. His still small voice has been speaking all along through his word, but we failed to ever open it up. We wonder why we fail to stand faithfully when temptation strikes, yet we fail to be ingrained in the Word of God, even though Yeshua set an example of using the Bible to defend against temptation. I want to encourage you today to make the spiritual discipline of daily consumption of the Word of God a priority in your life. How many times have you said, if only I had time to read the Bible? Well, in this current global crisis, we have more time than we know what to do with. So turn off whatever show you are binging and let's make the Bible a priority habit in our lives. Let us follow the example of our Messiah and get our spiritual nutrition on track. Shalom.